do you have for us in critical thinking?
Well, I'm going to talk about how to solve problems, and I'm going to think about it in a visual way so you see the problem more clearly. You know, last week I showed you, or maybe the week before, I showed you this graph of our debt problem. These little boxes represent spending on different programs, and to cut our debt enough, you'd have to cut all these boxes down to fit them into tax revenue if we're not going to borrow money or increase revenues. So it's almost impossible to fit all these boxes in here.
And it's pretty clear the boxes definitely don't fit.
The boxes don't fit, exactly. So, but when you see the problem like this, it's easier to solve, or at least it's easier to see. It's still not easy to solve, but it's easier to see the problem. Well, there's a couple of steps in solving problems that you should be familiar with, and I'm sure you know most of these. First, you define the problem. So you need to see it from other people's point of view, and you should not underestimate how hard it is to see the real underlying problem and find a solution. Who else is involved? You know, Congress is involved in this, but so are the people and so are the voters. Well, in your own personal situation, your kids are involved, your boss is involved, your family is involved, and so on. What are they thinking? What is their point of view? Do you need more information? Where can you get it? Who's involved, but when does the problem need to be solved? That's another thing you need to consider.
Now.
Well, this one needs to be solved pretty quick. And then what really needs to happen? What do you really want to try to do? These are the toughest things. Well, one of the things in visualization is what's called Ben Franklin's approach, or Ben Franklin's close to a situation, making a decision. So I thought I'd use that as an example of how to approach some of these problems. So the way we do that...
Teach us about Ben Franklin.
Well, I like Ben Franklin. So the way we do that is we simply separate either a piece of paper or a part of the chart, and you have a solution, which is X, and you have pros and cons. And you list them. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And so you simply write down on paper. It's very important you visualize it because many of us are visual learners. That's why I did the box for the debt ceiling, because when you see it, it's like, oh gosh, that really clears it up for me. I get it. You know, pictures worth 1,000 words and so on. So in the Ben Franklin approach, put the pros and the cons of each situation down on paper, and think about them, maybe get more information. But don't do it for just one solution. So you've got pros and cons of problem X, and pros and cons of X2, and pros and cons of X3. So you get all kinds of solutions, pros and cons, and then think about how much each one matters. It doesn't matter if you have 10 good reasons to do something. You could have one bad reason to not do it. It's not the amount, it's the strength of each answer. So when you are critically thinking how to solve a problem, get more information, write it down so you can see it. The visualization of the pros and the cons
it can really clear things up.
Yeah, it keeps things in mind. I mean, you like the visual picture I drew.
Oh, definitely. I'm a visual person.
And everyone we've shown it to.
All of a sudden they say, oh, it's not that easy. We can't just cut waste.
That's right. You can't just solve the problem if you see it in that visual representation. So one of the things to get people to come to your side is to show them visual representations like this that say, yes, this is good, 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 but this one big bad thing is bad, right? So when you think about it visually, you can come to a better solution, or you may come to a better solution.
And what's your takeaway? So
the takeaway is, when you need a solution to a problem, take your time to critically think through the solution in a step-by-step approach. Shortcuts can lead to fast action, but not necessarily real solutions.